And Jack Beaton nailed the restart to get around the outside of the 87 and swoop into the lead. Some contact further back as Juan Cota got tagged into a spin. And Maxime Ream bouncing across the curbs to get past Gianmarco Pradel. Also, Pradel then went straight on. He would have a puncture as we continued to have dramas. Bianca Bustamante bouncing across the gravel to avoid Alexander Savinkov. Down towards turn 16 again, we had one of the MP cars go wide, two of them as Lucas Flusha went wide. Macedo comes across shot at full speed. He's in a spin and he collects Lucas Flusha. Safety car once again, Jack Beaton to the lead then. Thomas Strauven by this time was up into third position, of course, inheriting the place from Andres Cardenas. And soon he would get his opportunity to move further up the order as René Lammers and Olivieri got into it together. This was the moment then where we had Olivieri lose some time. He locked up as they ran together further back. Maxime Ream got himself up into the top 10 by passing the Crown Motorsport car. Thomas Strauven managed to get past the two cars in one fell swoop there as Beaton and Alizari kind of held each other up. Alizari had one last attempt to get back past Strauven though, but he managed to take the win, hold the lead and secure victory in very good fashion there. Expert driving towards the end of the race from Thomas Strauven. He seemed to get his head around it more so than anybody else out there. A deserved, justified victory for Thomas Strauven and for Rodin Motorsport. Delight for the team, even if not everyone gets a hug. Lukas Gajewski, down to the podium with you.
What a frantic race and what a frantic end to the race in Formula Winter Series on Sunday morning. Welcome everybody once again from the podium. Let me clear the balcony and call our winning drivers after race number 2 onto the stage. And we start today, as we did yesterday, with the podium for our best female racer in race number 2. Congratulations for Rodin Motorsport, it's Ella Lloyd. Ella climbing the highest step of the podium for the second time this weekend as Jakub Prasek from our tire partner Hankook presents the trophy to our winning female driver on Sunday morning here in Motorland Aragon. Big smiles please and a big round of applause for Ella Lloyd. And of course, it's been Ella's first outing, so let's grab a quick word. Ella, please go back on the highest podium. This is yours. Ella, how did you enjoy your time in the Formula Winter Series so far this weekend?
Yeah, obviously my first weekend in F4, and it's been going pretty good. Can't thank the team enough. They've done a great job this weekend.
One more race, of course, coming up later on this afternoon. What are your expectations? It's always difficult to judge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's obviously difficult with like safety cars and that, but we just got to keep pushing forward. It's just we're here to learn and yeah, keep moving forward.
Ella, thank you very much and best of luck for the rest of the weekend. So this is Ella Lloyd, your best female racer in Formula Winter Series race number 2 of this weekend. Coming up next is the rookie podium, top 3, coming onto the stage. And please welcome, in third place of the podium for Jensa Motorsport, Adam Hidek. In second place for Us Racing, Kabi Anurag. And your rookie winner, although this is not going to be the biggest one today for him, from Rodin Motorsport, Thomas Strauven. Well done to our 3 winning rookie drivers as we welcome Andres Mendres from the Spanish Formula 4 organization, Robin Silbach from Gedlich Racing and Jakub Prasek from our tire partner Hankook to present the trophies to our 3 rookie drivers. First podium in rookie class for Adam Hidek, second one for Kabi Anurag, and your winner is Thomas Strauven. This is your rookie podium. And of course, we are very good in time, so we can speak to our top 3 rookie finishers upstairs. We need to have a word, of course, with Adam for the first time on the podium in rookie class. How does it feel, Adam? How was your race?
Yeah, it was a nice race. We started, I think, 19th, 80th. So yeah, the start was not the greatest, but then after it was, our speed was very nice, and then we could pick up some places. And yeah, at the end we finished, I think, 7th overall, 3rd in the rookie. So yeah, it was good to be here in the rookie podium. And next race, next weekend, we go for the overall podium.
Absolutely, there is one more race to go this afternoon. Adam, thank you very much. Kabe Anurag, your second trip to the podium in rookies this season. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, we started P4. Off the line, we stayed P4. Mistake on my side, dropped me down to 6. Managed to finish 5th. I think it was a good race overall. Just one mistake cost me the position to Thomas, and what followed was still a good race, but could have been better.
Kabe, thank you very much, and of course, good luck for the remaining race later on. Thomas has already been interviewed downstairs, of course, by Izzy Browning, so thank you very much to our rookie drivers clearing the stage for the overall race podium here in Motorland Arágon. And we start with the best team, the winning team in race number 2. Congratulations to Jamie French and Rodin Motorsports. In second place, his second podium of the weekend for Us Racing, Jack Beaton. In second place, for MP Motorsport, it's Keanu Alazari. And your winner with his first victory in Formula Winter Series for Rodin Motorsport, Thomas Strauben. Thomas Strauben, congratulations. So let's listen to the Belgium national anthem for the winning driver. Well done, and big round of applause to your winning driver, Thomas Strauben, with his first victory in Formula Winter Series. As we present the trophies, we've got Robin Seelbach and Stefan Lehner from the GT Racing organization, Andres Mendres from Spanish Formula 4, and of course, Jakub Prasek from tire partner Hankook. Once again, well done, big round of applause as we gather our winners, and of course, Jamie French from Rodin Motorsport on the podium just as well. And this is your final podium picture after race number 2. At least one more competition coming up. I'm just going to wait for a couple of seconds, and then of course we need to have a bit of a word with our drivers, because this was absolutely fabulous to watch. Jack, hang on a second. That was very, very exciting to watch what you did out there. How did you like it?
Yeah, it was fun until the last lap, really, for me. Obviously, I got the lead on the safety car restart, and then yeah, made a mistake in the end and lost it and went back to P3, and I was lucky even to keep the P3. So yeah, interesting race, fun until then, but yeah, it was still a good result.
One more to go.
One more, let's go.
Thank you very much, Zach. And I think everybody else has disappeared. Yeah, I'm afraid so. So that's it in terms of interviews after Formula Winter Series race number 2 here in Arágon. One more race coming up later on this afternoon. However, it's GT4s next. Always very exciting. They've been out yesterday for their first race of the weekend. Second competition is coming up with some new drivers, of course, being squeezed into the cockpits until they will share their driving duties later on in the endurance race this afternoon. So coming up next, second race for GT4 Winter Series live from Motorland Arágon.
I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Javi being very efficient there with getting the podium ready for the next race. What a race that was then in FWS. We now switch focus to the GT4 Winter Series, where we have potentially a situation where I think this weekend, if things continue onwards, Porter and Day could be champions by the end of the weekend if things go brilliantly for them and poorly for others. Let's go down, though, to Izzy Browning, who has GT4 cars arriving behind her.
Welcome back down to the grid. We're here for the GT4's first race of the day. And as Adam said, the big question is, can the Forsetti boys make it 2 for 2? They start on the second position today as opposed to yesterday. But Jamie Day managed to make it a win, so can Mikey Porter do the same? We are going to try and talk to Mikey, but he's just being spoken to by Matt George right now. So I'm going to come across to the number 11 Schnitzlam Racing. This should be Marcel Marshevitz in the car today. Obviously, Joel Mesh had that battle yesterday with the McLaren. So I'm going to dive in and see if we can have a chat. Marcel, how are we feeling for today's race?
Very good. So I'm very confident after the qualifying. I like the track a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the race.
And you've got the best position to start from, so how are we going to keep the Forsetti boys behind you?
Yeah, just have a good start and then yeah, just stay on P1, I think.
Best of luck for the race, thank you. Right, I'm going to see if I can pop across and grab a word with Mikey Porter, but he might just be still having a chat. It looks like they are having a chat. So I'll grab Jamie instead. Jamie, had a win yesterday, obviously we spoke to you already. Adam said in commentary it's possible you guys could be champions by the end of the weekend, so how do we feel about that?
Yeah, we're just taking it one race at a time at the moment. Obviously, just trying to get the good result first off, and then the points come later. So, again, this morning, just hopefully Mikey has a nice, clean race, and then we see where we come out at the end of it.
And you had good learning yesterday, so is there any tips you were giving him yesterday on the track and how to keep the others behind?
Yeah, definitely. There was a few things to give to him, and hopefully he's just taking it on board. And I think we should have a nice, easy race and see if we can get into the lead early doors.
Perfect. Well, we'll see if he can do the same. We're going to continue down the grid as Mikey's still being spoken to. So we've got the number 78 McLaren car behind. Now, they were the ones that were having that really, really tough battle with Joel Mesh. I said yesterday, if you were watching our coverage, that Joel Mesh was he was struggling a little bit with his back as he got out of the car. So we'll see if Marcel can do any better, and hopefully Joel's okay for the race this afternoon. But yeah, expect the McLarens to be up there battling. We've seen it that the two on the front row have pace, and so does this McLaren. So we are definitely going to be seeing some great battling. The GT4s never ever disappoints us. And then finally, just coming over to the number 84, we've got a new entry. This is Alex Connor. They are the new entry this weekend. And can we dive in and grab a word with Alex? Just quickly, one quick question. First race of the day, how are we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I think pace was there yesterday in the long run, so hopefully we can do something today.
Awesome, best of luck, have a good race. All right, we're just about to get the 1 minute board, so we will hand back up to Adam, but this is going to be a great race, so don't go anywhere, make sure you're tuning in.
Oh yes, the GT4 Winter Series is always where some of the best racing of the weekend comes from, and we expect nothing different this time. Mikey Porter, Marcel Marshevitz there on the front row of the grid, as Izzy just said. We've got some really wonderful machinery, as always, on the grid this weekend. Some teams that are, well, new, some updated driver lineups to contend with as well. A few unknown commodities, as it were. Some drivers we expect to be disruptors, if you will. One of them could be this man, Alex Papadopoulos, from 6th on the grid in the NM Racing Team's Pro-Am entry. This is the same car that has been the AM class number 15 over the course of the rest of the season. Alberto Di Martin couldn't make it here this weekend, so it's been converted to a Pro-Am entry, and Alex Papadopoulos, the pro of the Pro-Am class, he starts from 6th position. You have Ivan Ekelschik there as well in 5th place. I'd also keep an eye on Daniel Drexel in 9th position. We have him with an onboard as well. He's just behind Tim Neuser on the grid, the Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche. I expect Drexel to maybe come on a little bit stronger in this one. The 15-second board has been shown, and the cars will soon roll on their formation lap. as I alluded to, it is mathematically possible that a GT4 Winter Series title is provisionally secured this year in favour of the second place car, Mikey Porter, alongside Jamie Day, but it will rely on misfortune for Schnitzlaum Racing's Joel Mesh. It's possible, though, that we do have a champion before the end of the day. Schnitzlaum Racing's Marcel Maršovics will be holding the hopes for Joel Mesh in this race. Look at that gap from qualifying. 2 thousandths of a second separated Marcel Maršovics and Mikey Porter, who gets better every weekend. Zach Meakin in third place alongside Alex Connor on row 2. The debuting second CV performance car in the hands of Alex Connor. Ivan Ikulchik in 5th place, the first of the Pro-Am entries, alongside Alex Papadopoulos. Row 4 of the grid is Emil Yerdrum in the number 85 Pro-Am CV Performance Mercedes. Tim Neuser is 8th, the first of the Cayman Trophy cars. Daniel Drexel will line up from 9th place alongside Max Huber, while Enrico Ferderer and Jan-Niklas Sommershoff are forming row 6. Richard Wolff didn't take the start yesterday. Hopefully he's with us this time. Christian Kuhn rounds out the back of the order. Just have a look at this shot for a bit longer. We might see whether the BMW is there or not, actually. I did mean to keep an eye out on that, and I unfortunately wasn't smart enough to do so. We do have the BMW there, so yes, Richard Wolff will take the start in the Resoon More Than Racing BMW, so that's great news. We've got our full quota of 14 cars for this race. Is Mikey Porter and Marcel Maršovics on the front row. Maršovics as the pole sitter in a rolling start situation, our first rolling start of the day. He therefore has the inside going into turn 1. We'll see whether he can convert that into an early lead. We've seen in the formula categories that it's possible to make a move around the outside at turn 1, so that's what Mikey Porter is going to hope to emulate. Of course, we saw Zach Meakin do the same. In fact, Tom Leben do the same for Elite Motorsport in Valencia in the GTs. Of course, the other question mark is the effect that the tailwind will have on the GT cars. Obviously, the Formula cars are a deal lighter. The wind is maybe a bit more of a pronounced effect on the Formula cars. But we've seen already that 12 and 16 seem to be incredibly difficult to get right in this weekend's conditions. So all remains to be seen, all questions remain to be answered, and we will now go into 2x2 formation for this 30-minute race. Unlike the previous 2 races, there is no +1 lap. It's a straight 30-minute race. Once the clock hits 0, we are on the final lap, and it's Marcel Maršovics who will start the first lap in the lead. But for how long? He's got great competition around him, not just from Mikey Porter, but also from that second row of the grid as well. Let's see who is going to be the pace setter in the early going as we go racing for 30 minutes in the GT4 Winter Series. Marcel Maršovics leads it into the first corner. And it is going to be Mikey Porter settling for second by the looks of it. Max Huber out a little bit wide through turn 1. Richard Wolff picking up a couple of places already in the BMW in the back of the pack in the AM category. Good start from everybody. We are clean through the first couple of corners then as we go into this 30-minute race. Yesterday, that elite McLaren of Zach Meakin in the hands of Tom Leben yesterday, it looked very strong versus the 2 front-engine cars ahead. So let's see how Meakin handles this circuit. He loves Portimao. He says Portimao is his favourite circuit. Therefore, I expect him to enjoy Motorland Arágon as well. It's not quite the same character of circuit, but it is similar to my eye. There's a whiff of Portimao about Motorland Arágon. Of course, both circuits of roughly the same vintage. Both circuits considered some of the modern classics of modern-day racetracks. Here comes our field then towards turn 12. It is Marcel Maršovics that leads the way. Porter in second, Meakin in third. Of course, Meakin's car cuts a much smaller hole through the air than the 2 front-engine cars ahead of him. That does mean that in order to make sure it isn't massively faster at the end of the straights, the power, the torque, is a little bit lower on the McLaren. So that does mean coming out of the turns, it's sometimes a little bit hampered as we see side-by-side action between Papadopoulos and Yerdrum among the Pro-Am class. Daniel Drexel is our camera operator as we watch this battle. Then Porter gets caught out. Porter goes wide at turn 16 and falls back as far as third place. Zach Meakin gets up to P2. So there's our question answered as to whether the tailwind would maybe affect some of the GTs. The answer is yes. It's still side by side in the back of shot there between Papadopoulos, or rather Yerdrum and Papadopoulos. Drexel getting involved now, though, to the inside for the Pro-Am lead. Oh, everybody just about finds their way through. Side by side for second in class then, as Papadopoulos staves off the advances of Daniel Drexel. I do apologise, Drexel is a Pro class car. Our leader in Pro-Am is Ivan Ekelchik. Ekelchik in 5th place overall in the Vimavert Motorsport Porsche Leeds Pro-Am. So the two Mercedes are fighting for second in Pro-Am. Drexel, a Pro driver, is fighting to try and get past the Pro-Ams. I think everybody in the Pro-Am cars in this race, with the exception of Sommershoff at the back of the order, is a Pro driver. So we've got all pros, as it were, in Pro-Am this time. So it's a particularly strong grid as we work our way through turn 10 once again. Look at how wide some of them are coming through turn 10. What are track limits, query? Marshavix, Meakin and Porter, your top three then. In 4th place is Alex Connor. Ivan Ekelchik looking to try and make some headway in the Porsche. Through turn 15 goes Alex Connor. Connor will be keeping an eye on Ekelchik behind, because that Porsche, again, slightly more slippery at the end of the straight. I expect it to maybe have a couple of kilometres of an hour extra over the Mercedes by the time they get to the apex. And Ekelchik tried to get to the inside there, couldn't quite get it done. Of course, Alex Connor, with some experience of these GTs, was previously a junior single-seater star and has been trying to establish himself in prototypes and GTs more recently. Ivan Ekelchik, one of the leading lights in GT4 European Series last year. So a good scrap between two promising young talents at the moment. Vimavert Motorsport calls this young man their superstar. We got one driver there struggling, I think, at turn 2. I think might have been Mikey Porter that kicked up a little bit of gravel there, but thankfully the car is still present. You can wash out at turn 2 if you're following someone closely into the gravel trap, and we saw, I think, the remnants of just that scenario from Mikey Porter there. It's 3 manufacturers and 3 teams in the top 3 once again then. Marshavix from Meakin from Porter. Zach Meakin and the Elite Motorsport crew have really rallied after struggling across the Portuguese elements of the GT4 Wind Series calendar. They have looked strong in Jerez, in Valencia, and indeed here at Aragon, and could yet be fighting for second in the championship with, well, they are very much fighting for second in the championship with Schnitzlau Racing's Joel Mesh. Of course, Marcel Marshavix wasn't present at Estoril at the start of the year, which is why we don't speak of him as a championship contender, because he, unfortunately, was a non-scorer in the first 3 races. Travel issues meant that he couldn't get to Estoril. He was meant to do the full season alongside Joel Mesh. Mikey Porter, of course, last time out in Valencia was doing double duty, sharing the number 7 with Matt George, as well as racing in this number 19 car. Mikey has been improving weekend on weekend. Of course, his efforts in Valencia mean that his manager, James, now has a tattoo with the word safe and Mikey Porter's signature. I've heard that might not be the only tattoo-related bet, wager, however you want to put it, in the Forsetti garage. I feel like someone else has to offer up their body at some point. It can't just be James. Mikey Porter very quick there through turn 3, using all the runoff and a little bit more as he tries to get to the back of Zach Meakin. Porter, of course, made that error on the first lap, went deep into the corner, and is now trying to bounce back from that. Tim Neuser has gotten back past Daniel Drexel, as we see there on the picture. So the Cayman Trophy leader, Tim Neuser, up into 8th position. The top 3 down through the corkscrew section of the circuit, past the Marc Marquez statue that overlooks turn 10 and 11. Rather apropos that the motorcycle racer of the 2010s has his statue overlooking a corner where all the MotoGP bikes are sideways and exciting. Mikey Porter was a little bit deep there into turn 12. I'm glad he got that thing stopped. I thought for a horrible moment that he was going to go straight on there. Oh, he does go straight on into 14. Hopefully gets a decent run out of turn 15, but missed the apex at 14. Loses a car length or 2. Ergo, he will not be close enough to Zach Meakin's challenge into the hairpin. Alex Connor now some 7 seconds off the lead, so has lost a half dozen seconds to Alex Connor. Connor is going defensive once again on Ivan Ikelchik. Ikelchik, the Pro-Am leader. He doesn't seem to worry too much about that. He wants some more overall positions as he tries to get around Alex Connor, but can't be done there at 16. Our top 3 come past in an unchanged position as the 4th place battle continues on. Ikelchik will be keeping one eye on the car ahead of him and the other on the other CV Performance machine, which is, of course, the 2nd place car in Pro-Am. Papadopoulos 3rd in Pro-Am, following on as well. Highly, highly competitive Pro-Am class this weekend. Ekelchik and Wimmerwerk Motorsport, along with Yegor Hishin, of course, returning to the paddock this weekend for the first time since Portimao. Great to welcome them back into the fray here in the GT4 Winter Series. Great scrap here for 4th place overall. I get the feeling that Ekelchik has the speed advantage. It's just a matter of using it to make the position. I think his best shot is inevitably turn 16. The hairpin at the end of the long, long back straight. Daniel Drexel there, about 10 meters. Well, exaggerating, 1.5 meters, let's say, over the track limit. That was pretty far away from the racing line. There's a lot of tarmac runoff here at Motorland Aragon. Speaking to Bianca Bustamante back in Jerez about what to expect at Aragon, she just laughed and said, yeah, track limits, they're an issue there. And that applies to all classes for sure. Great strong field then, fighting for 4th all the way back to 10th. Several battles in shot there as they came out of turn 15. Is Ekelchik close enough? I personally think he's maybe a car length too far back, and it seems as though he agrees, which is something of a relief. Enrico Ferderer looks like he's gotten past Daniel Drexel as well. So Enrico Ferderer is up into 9th place in the 110 car, or at least he was at the timing beam in for the end of sector 2, which is on the long back straight. If we look to the back of shot there, it does look as though Enrico Ferderer has gotten past. So yes, Ferderer is past Daniel Drexel, and he can now try and chase his team boss, as it were, or at least his team manager, Tim Neuser, to try and win Cayman Trophy. Right on board there with Drexel as he follows Ferderer. He's got some work to do to close up on Tim Neuser. Meanwhile, this battle further back for 2nd in the Mercedes, or 2nd in Pro-Am, the all-Mercedes battle just behind this fight for 4th overall. Got lots of fights to choose from here as Ekelchik and Connor go at it, as Yerdrum and Papadopoulos fight for 2nd in Pro-Am. Further back there, Yerdrum was very, very wide out of turn 7. Yet to see any warnings pop up on screen for you-know-what, track limits. But we are seeing a new camera angle by the looks of it here, as a very good camera angle as well. Lovely stuff as Emil Yerdrum and Papadopoulos follow this battle for 4th place. There is Yerdrum. He's gone very, very wide by the looks of it at turn 12, and he's going to have to yield there to Papadopoulos. Yerdrum must have got slightly wrong-footed there at turn 12, and he loses out to Papadopoulos. Let's see if he can fire back to this new adversary. Papadopoulos, the American racer, raced TCRs in Michelin Pilot Challenge, has been forging his path in GT4s in Europe. Ivan Ekelchik forging his path to the outside at turn 16. Going deep, though, as does Connor. Both parties not quite getting that apex. Alex Connor, with the inside line, with the high ground, holds on to 4th position for the time being. But something tells me that this battle is going to go on for the next 17 minutes, unless Ekelchik can find a way through. I feel Ekelchik has the pace. He's just not got a Porsche's width to get past at any point. Tim Neuser is right on the back now of Yerdrum and Papadopoulos as well, so the battle for 6th overall is now a 3-way. Yerdrum has got him back past Papadopoulos, as a matter of fact, so Emil Yerdrum has snuck back through somewhere there. I have to assume turn 16. Very well done, young man. You were losing that position only momentarily. Papadopoulos and Neuser then in 7th and 8th just behind him. I wonder if Yerdrum went deep into the corner and that held both Mercedes up, because Tim Neuser is rather closed in on the two of them quicker than I was anticipating. There is Connor and Ekelchik going through the corkscrew for 4th and 5th position, and Ekelchik just losing the rear a little bit there. Marsheviks, Meekin and Porter, your top 3, as they run through 12 and 13. Tap of the brakes there from Marsheviks. Zach Meekin puts the power down, a little bit of a squirm as he comes out of the corner. And now he's in the slip of Marsheviks. I think he's closer than he has been for the last several laps. I don't think he's going to get quite close enough for a move into turn 16, but he is certainly looking like the form driver out there at the moment. He was a couple of tenths quicker than Marcel Marsheviks on the previous lap. Marsheviks deep into 16 as well. Porter also deep into 16. Zach Meekin pretty much nailed that corner, though. So it does look like Meekin has his head around the conditions right now, as challenging as they are. And as we approach half distance in this race, Meekin is certainly stating his intent in the rear view mirrors of the Schlitzlaum Mercedes. Through turn 2 they go. And then turn 3. Meekin keeping it a lot tidier there, keeping it rather more within the lines than Marsheviks up ahead. It looks like Marsheviks is fighting the car a bit more than Meekin. Meekin's car seems to be complying with his wishes. They might have found a little something extra then in that number 78 McLaren. It's wearing one of the doors off the 27 we saw at Jerez, I know for a fact, because the 27 car sits in the paddock sans door. But they've done a good job of getting the car refreshed, ready and set up. Seems like the Artura is a strong package as they head into the summer racing season, and it's a package that could well help them in the battle for 2nd in the championship, as well as the battle for the race lead. This is the battle for 2nd in the championship, and as a matter of fact, if my maths are serving me correctly, if Meekin were to get past Marsheviks and Marsheviks were to finish 2nd, they would actually be tied on points in 2nd in the championship. Don't ask me the exact number. That might be a stretch too far for me. But I believe they would be tied going into race 3 in the battle for 2nd in the title fight. Mikey Porter, of course, watching on from 3rd place in the championship leading car that he shares with Jamie Day. No pit stops, of course, in this race. It's a 30-minute sprint, a dash to the line. And Zach Meekin getting very, very close to the back of Maršovics there, coming out of turn 16. As they cross the line this time, we'll see whether Meakin can challenge Marcel Maršovics. Less than 3/10 in it as they come past turn 1 once again. Through 2 and into turn 3 they go. Bouncing across the curves as they turn in. It's quite easy to get it wrong at turn 3 as you transition across the curb back onto the tarmac, coming out of 2 into 3. Papadopoulos on board there. Once again, we see in the picture-in-picture, he's still welded to the rear of Emil Yerdrum. The battle for second in the Pro-Am class, but it's the Pro lead, the overall lead that we focus on as Meakin once again harangues the rear of Marcel Maršovics through the corkscrew for the 9th time in this race. We'll see whether Meakin can maybe get himself a good run out of turn 15. That would be critical for a move into the hairpin that follows. Both cars stopped nicely for turn 12. A little bit of a twitch there for Meakin. He's slower through 13. Meakin looking to square up 15. Takes a nice wide berth through the corner. That was a nice run for Meakin, but Maršovics executed the corner nicely as well. Will Meakin be close enough? I somehow doubt it. But he's once again in the slip of Marcel Maršovics in the Merc. Mikey Porter keeping pace with them as well. He's been about 2 seconds off for most of the race after his early error. He'll be hoping that they do end up side by side and elbows out at some point in this race so that he can maybe try and get involved in this one too. Alex Connor for CV Performance still in 4th place, just ahead of Ivan Ekelchik. That battle continues also. Once again, a spoil of riches as ever in the GT4 Winter Series when it comes to battling out there on circuit. This is the closest fight out on track though between Maršovics and Meakin. It's also the one that feels the most like a chess match. Maršovics goes wide at one corner, makes a little bit of an error. Meakin makes an error at another corner. Of course, Zach Meakin is always looking to make that one key play out of turn 15 to try and get a good run towards the hairpin down the huge back straight here at Motorland Aragon. There is the Pro-Am battle between Connor and Ekelchik. Still Ekelchik behind the 84 CV Performance car. Emil Yerdrum and Papadopoulos behind them, fighting for second in Pro-Am, of course, as well. While their class leader, Ivan Ekelchik, continues to investigate his chances of getting 4th overall. Through turn 12 they go then. Does seem as though these GT cars are slightly less liable to being affected by the tailwinds at 12 and 16. That is to be expected. Heavier cars, less aero-dependent. However, certainly have seen a couple of errors at the corners, the offending corners, during the race. Connor and Ekelchik then, 4th and 5th, as they head down towards turn 16. Again, Ekelchik towards the end of the straight looks very, very strong. It's close between Maršovics and Meakin, less than 2/10 between them as they cross the line. And did you see that corner cut at turn 1? Goodness me. There are some track limits penalties being dished out, incidentally. Car 85 has received a 5-second time penalty. So Emil Yerdrum has received a 5-second penalty. As it stands, he would need to be 5 seconds ahead of Papadopoulos to retain second in Pro-Am. So there's one penalty that has been dished out for track limits. There have been a few other instances of warnings thrown out there as well, none of which seem to be affecting most of our front runners, with the exception of car 11. Marcel Marcevic does have 3 warnings hanging over his head, so he has to be very careful to keep it within the designated track space. Marcevic, Meekin, Porter now separated by just 1.3 seconds as well. Wasn't the best lap for Marcevic last time by. He seems to be losing a little bit to both of the cars behind him. But once again, he has the high ground. He's in the position to stave off the advances rather than make the attacks. And that's exactly where everyone wants to be in these situations. 7 minutes and 38 seconds to go. He's withstood the pressure very well to this point in the race, and it is very rapidly, to my eye, becoming a 3-car battle here. If anything, Mikey Porter is closer this time to Meekin than Meekin is to Marcevic. So Mikey Porter, confident building at the wheel of the number 19 car. Seemed a little bit off the boil in the first couple of laps, but he's into the groove now. An overall podium is not enough. He wants to try and go for this win. Car 10 is the latest to receive a track limit slap on the wrist, so AM class leader Max Huber with a little bit of a telling off. Turning into the first corner once again with the leading battle, and it is the second place fight that's really the one catching the eye right now, as Porter suddenly seems like the driver with the most underneath him. Has he been saving his tyres, perhaps? Has he been taking a little less energy out of his Pirellis versus Marcevic and Meekin up ahead? It's certainly possible. If you're interested in the battles further back, in brief, I'll tell you that Alex Connor has started to build a gap over Ivan Ekelchik. So Ekelchik almost a second behind Alex Connor now. He, of course, though, still leads Pro-Am, Ivan Ekelchik. And, of course, Emil Yerdrum is half a second ahead of Alex Papadopoulos. However, we know that Yerdrum has a 5-second penalty for track limits violations. There is the battle for 4th place once again. Love the sound of that Cayman. Of course, flat 6 power. It's a little bit flatter sounding than the other Porsche engines we hear. We run towards turn 12 once again. A bit of a sideways moment there, a little bit of an over-rotation into 12 for Ekelchik. So Marcevic, Meekin and Porter will be, I think, at the other end of the straight as these guys turn into 15. I wonder just how close Mikey Porter is at this stage to Zach Meekin. Oh goodness, it's all kicking off further back, and is that Emil Yerdrum with some damage? Yes, his diffuser is damaged, and it's side by side for the Cayman Trophy lead. Enrico Ferderer with a good run out of turn 15. Tim Neuser has gotten past Emil Yerdrum, but Yerdrum may have slightly tripped up Neuser because it's Ferderer now with the inside line and the Cayman Trophy lead as they approach turn 16. Does everyone get the cars stopped? The answer is, well, not really, but it's Ferderer that leads the pack, and it's Ferderer that now leads in Cayman Trophy. Up to 7th place he goes then, but he's now got to worry about Emil Yerdrum in Pro-Am, who may be driving with a bit of red mist. I don't know quite how he got there behind Enrico Ferderer. I don't know quite how his splitter got damaged, but nonetheless, Yerdrum, with the tide turning against him a little bit at this juncture, will not be the happiest young man. Through turn 3 they go, and Yerdrum with a nice little slide there through turn 3, as a matter of fact, carried the speed well. Enrico Ferderer, though, a very talented youngster in his own right, a driver that we've seen some fabulous performances from, of course, successful in the German karting scene. He's previously raced with JMO Hartling, who we see in the GT Winter Series. Is also very, very good friends with Joel Mesh who of course shares the leading car with Marcel Maršovic. It's all very happy families among the SR Motorsport and Schnitzelhaum youngsters. Quite the great young group of young German racing talent there. So Förderer from Jördrum, from Neuser, from Drexel, the battle there. Papadopoulos just ahead of them through shot in 6th place. Zach Meakin has started to close in again on Marcel Maršovic. It's now kind of reversed again towards Maršovic being attacked by Meakin, and Mikey Porter watching on up at the front of the order as Daniel Drexel continues to fight the Cayman Trophy car up ahead of him. Of course, the Cayman Trophy car's in a different categorization, slightly sub GT4 spec, so Drexel has a better car underneath him theoretically. But getting past Tim Neuser may be a challenge. Onto the brakes they go, and Jördrum went very deep, Neuser went slightly deep, and Drexel got it more or less right. And Jördrum may prove to be a bit of a rolling roadblock here for Tim Neuser, because Förderer is getting away. That means the Cayman Trophy lead is getting away from Tim Neuser. All the while, Neuser is getting attacked from behind by Daniel Drexel. As we briefly got a shot there from on board with Drexel, Jördrum certainly seems to be struggling with something. Maybe the tyres starting to go away from him. This will be, I think, the third last lap of the race. We should have 2 to go this time, as Drexel continues to seek a route past the 111. But so far, a route is not forthcoming. It's Maršovic from Meakin from Porter at the front of the field. There was less than half a second in it between the top 3, or less than half a second in it between the top 2 last time. Drexel needs to be very careful with how he takes turn 10, based on what we saw there just before we cut away. Zach Meakin then in the slipstream again, flashing those headlights. 55 seconds to go means that this will be the last lap. Of course, no +1 lap in this race. We've done a lot of +1 lap in the last couple of races. This is going to be the final lap of the race. So Zach Meakin is running out of time, and he will be well too aware of that as they go on to the final lap of the race then. Zach Meakin just 2.5 tenths back, a quarter of a second back from Marcel Maršovic. He's clearly got a good car underneath him. However, the Mercedes, with the traction advantage coming out of the slow corners, may well be able to stave off Meakin down the long back straight. Zach Meakin will be looking for any opportunity he can to outscore Maršovic in this race. It would be a 7-point swing either way in the battle for second in the championship. If Maršovic wins, if Meakin wins, it'll be a 14 gap between second and third, 14-point gap between second and third in the championship. If things finish as they are, if Meakin gets by, they'll be tied on points with Joel Mesh and Meakin and Leben. Jördrum continues to be a bit of a spoiler there for Tim Neuser, but it's the lead scrap that I think is probably going to be the most interesting going forward. Ivan Ekelchik, we just saw there, has gotten past Alex Connor, so finally Ekelchik finds his way past for 4th overall, so that's going to further sweeten the Pro-Am win for Ekelchik. But what can Zach Meakin do about the car ahead of him, about the race lead? He tries to square off turn 15 as much as possible, but of course Maršovic does the same. You see the slight torque advantage in living colour there as Maršovic gets a couple of kilometres an hour more coming off the corner, but as they get further down the straight, the sleek McLaren gets quicker and quicker, where the Mercedes starts hitting the air. However, I don't think Meakin is close enough. He looks to the inside. He's going to give it a go. He's got a car alongside. He doesn't anymore. I think Marcel Maršovics has just about done enough to secure a full haul of points, most importantly for his co-driver Joel Mesh, but also for himself. It's 25 points. It's a win for Marcel Maršovics. A great result for Marcel in that sprint race. He wins it from Meakin, from Porter. Your top three, and according to the timing screen, it was less than 400ths of a second, 0.036 there at the end of the race. Maršovics swerved over to go take the checkered flag. It could have cost him. It was a very, very close finish. Ivan Ekelchik takes fourth ahead of Alex Connor. Papadopoulos coming over the hill now to come second in Pro-Am. He takes second in class then. Enrico Federer will take seventh, and Emil Yerdrum will cross the line in eighth. But of course there is a 5-second penalty hanging over his head. As far as I know, that's the only penalty to consider as well. Tim Neuser ninth ahead of Daniel Drexel in 10th. Our AM class leader, Max Huber, crosses the line to take 11th overall. Ahead of Richard Wolff, who takes 12th place. Sommershoff and Cohen will round out the finishing order in this race. I note that Christian Cohen has moved to Cayman Trophy, actually. I didn't spot this, but I think the Team Sur Rennsport car have wheeled out a spare, hence he's now in Cayman Trophy. I missed that the 94 car has seemingly changed its stripes, perhaps literally. So they're moved down to Cayman Trophy. There's Sommershoff in the 99. He'll come across the line to finish 13th place. Of course, he'll share with Manuel Lauk in the Enduro later on. A formidable pair for the Pro-Am race. And then Christian Cohen will be the last car across the line. And yes, indeed, I think SRS Team Sur Rennsport have adopted a car from the SR Motorsport fleet to run in Cayman Trophy for the rest of the weekend. You'll recall that the Team Sur Rennsport car seemed to be leaking oil quite badly. I think an engine detonated towards the end of the race on Saturday. Marcel Maršovics is coasting more so than I think he wants to. I don't think this is celebration. I think this could be a problem for Marcel Maršovics. I was wondering if he might have had an issue, because he seemed slow after they crossed the line, and of course he slowed down rather more than he would have normally done at the finish line, hence it was so close between he and Zach Meakin. And it seems that Marcel Maršovics has a problem, and he's pushing and whacking the steering wheel, going, come on! You could see it there from his cockpit that he is furious at the car. And so while Maršovics has won the race, he is also going to be stranded out on circuit. So, well, I suppose Izzy Browning is going to have to interview someone other than our race winner, because Marcel Maršovics doesn't look like he's going any further. And that is a huge concern for Schnitzelbaum and for Joel Mesh as well, because we've seen that car have issues at Jerez. There was a suspension problem. At Valencia, the car pulled over halfway through the endurance race, and now, thankfully after the checkered flag, it seems to have found a gremlin in its system just moments after taking the race victory. And they're pointing there as if to say, right, we'll push you behind the barriers. So it seems Marcel Maršovics has no faith and indeed no power to take the car back to pit lane. So a late drama for Marcel Maršovics. The 11 car stopped out on circuit. Zach Meakin then will be the first of the finishers to arrive under the podium. I dare say Marcel Maršovics may get his winner's trophy in the post after this. They might have to send Joel up to pick up the trophy once all is said and done. And I understand Izzy has decided to walk over to Elite Motorsport instead, so we'll get Zach Meakin's take on the battle for the lead.
Yeah, I'm down with our P2 driver, Zach Meakin from that GT4 race. We've got Marcel Markovits out on the track still, possibly with an issue, as Adam Weller said. Zach, I mean, you tried everything, every which way, didn't quite manage to get past, but that was a good old race for you, wasn't it?
It was. Me and him had a very good race. I made a few mistakes. He managed to pull a gap. I caught him, but then it was a bit too late. I should have applied a little bit more pressure, maybe to see if I could get something, but it was a good race otherwise, and he did a fantastic job.
So you're going to apply more pressure later then?
Definitely, I'm going to be up there.
And like this track, do you like this track to drive? Does the car feel good around here? It looks like it's been pretty dialed all weekend.
Yeah, car feels good. We struggle a bit on torque, but besides that, we gain through the corners on minimum, so it's all going good.
And you're ready for the race later?
Yeah, I am. We're definitely winning this time. See if we can get 3 in a row.
Definitely winning. That's confidence. Well done. We'll let you get up to the podium. All right, there's our P2 driver. Hopefully Adam can give us a bit of an update on our P1 driver. As you can see, the car has not made it down here, but the drivers are going to go up to the podium, and we'll head back to Adam.
Thanks, Izzy. Frankly, I think the update is probably, as again, send the trophy in the post. I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon, since he is something like a kilometre away from the podium itself. Marcel Markovics is our race winner then. Zach Meakin in second and Mikey Porter in third place. An all-pro podium ahead of Ivan Ekelchik, the Pro-Am winner. Alex Connor is in fifth place overall. Alex Papadopoulos secures second in Pro-Am with a sixth place finish. Enrico Ferderer taking seventh place ahead of Tim Neuser. Daniel Drexel in ninth, and of course with a penalty, Emil Yerdrum is dropped down to 10th. 11th place for Max Huber, winning in the AM class. Richard Wolff taking 12th. Jan Nicholas Sommershoff and Christian Cohen rounding out our 14-car finishing order. Of course, Enrico Ferderer, the first of the Cayman Trophy runners. Christian Cohen now in Cayman Trophy after the original car had an issue yesterday. So then, let's take a look back at the highlights of this race. Then it was a good start for Markovics from the front row of the grid. It was Mikey Porter that followed him in second place in the early stages as everyone worked their way through the first lap of the race. As we went down towards turn 16, Porter went straight on. The tailwind again proving to be the rival, the enemy of many this weekend. Here at Motorland Arágon on Winter Series Sunday. We had some great scrapping further back in the pack as well, as Daniel Drexel tried to get past some of the Pro-Am cars on the inside there of Papadopoulos. He would later fall back a little further though, Drexel in the 77 Razoon car, but some great onboard shots there as he tried to fight with the NM Racing Team machine. Ivan Ekelchik spent pretty much the entire race trying to find his way around Alex Connor, one way or the other. Each time we got to turn 16, he looked lively behind the number 84. He would eventually get past, but it would be a lot of trying to get there. Emil Yerdrum was putting some feet wrong. He lost out to Papadopoulos as the battle for fourth also continued. Markovics deep into turn 16. Zach Meakin starting to apply the pressure at that point in the battle for the lead. Enrico Ferderer took his opportunity to get past Tim Neuser as Emil Yerdrum made a mistake in front of them. Yerdrum splitting the two Cayman Trophy cars for a while, and that allowed Ferderer to build a couple of seconds over the talented Tim Neuser. Really exciting scrapping further back. A great depth of talent in all of our classes in the GT4 Winter Series. So many promising youngsters from various different camps, and great racing as always. We are treated to win in the closest of circumstances in favour of Marcel Markovics. I happen to know that being on the wrong side of turn 12 means he's probably about as far away from the podium as humanly possible. So I suspect we might have to do a podium sans one just for the sake of time. But we'll wait and see what the decision is on that front. Of course, the GT4 Winter Series, as Izzy and Zach alluded to in the interview a few moments ago, will race again a 60-minute enduro where there will be a mandatory pit stop from minute 25 to minute 35 of the race those that have a driver to swap with will, of course, exit the cockpit and hand over during that pit window. So then all calm on the circuit once again for just a few moments, but we will see the GT Winter Series cars out onto the circuit shortly for our next race. And we are once again going all through the day here. If you are joining us here at the circuit, or indeed if you're watching on the live stream, there is no stopping this weekend. There is no stopping on Winter Series Sunday. No lunch break, just racing, racing, and a little bit more racing with 5 championships on the bill today. It is a deluxe day of action with our 4 Giedlick Winter Series championships sharing a weekend for the first time. And we are, of course, joined by Eurocup 3 as well. You see the GT Winter Series cars heading out onto the circuit, but we are still looking back at the GT4s, where, of course, we have seen a bit of a drama for Marcel Maršovics in the number 11 Schnitzelaum Mercedes. The car coming to a halt at the end of the race at turn 13 after winning. The car seemingly starting to limp, and Maršovics stranded on the opposite end of the Motorland Arágon site, unfortunately, which is certainly a complication for our podium ceremonies. Ana Esteves and co will all be working for solutions to that query. I'm sure Lukas Gajewski will be inputting as well to try and figure out how to proceed with the podiums. Of course, there's no lack of podiums in GT4 Winter Series with Pro, Pro-Am, Am, and the Cayman Trophy. Interesting to see that the Sur Rennsport team have now moved into Cayman Trophy as well. It did look like the engine was rather bidding us adieu yesterday in the Team Sur Rennsport GT4 Cayman, but what I hadn't spotted was the fact that the car was now marked green on the timing screen and therefore has now become a Cayman Trophy entry. But I'm sure Schnitzelaum, for a small fee, was benevolent enough to pass a car over to them. So then, we see there yesterday's Cup 2 winner, actually, Joachim Bulting, putting heat through the tyres. If I were him, I would pin the throttle from turn 15 just to see how bad the wind is into 16, just to see if it's as bad in the Cup car as it has been for everyone else today. The story of the day has certainly been the tailwind into 12 and 16 here at Motorland Arágon. You saw the effect it had on the Eurocup 3s, who were the first cars out this morning. Hopefully the wind isn't having too much of an effect on Lukas Gajewski's hair. Oh wait, let's go down to him at the podium.
Thank you very much, Adam Weller. It's a huge bunch of podium procedures to go through in GT4 Winter Series as always. So let's kick off our celebrations up here on the stage. And we'll start with Pro-Am today, because of course we want to give a slight chance to our pro race winner Marcel Maršovics to still get here. So let's welcome in 3rd place in Pro-Am class for CV Performance, Emil Gerdrum. In 2nd place for NM Racing, it's Alex Papadopoulos. And your Pro-Am winner for Wimmerwerk Motorsport is Ivan Ekalczyk. Well done to all our 3 Pro-Am drivers as we welcome Robin Seelbach, Sergio Fonseca from the Giedlick Racing organization, joined on the podium by Georgie Chapman from our tire partner Pirelli to present the trophies to our 3 winning Pro-Am drivers, which are being gathered on the highest step of the podium by Daniel, our photographer, up here on stage. We're going to give a couple of seconds as well for the photographers downstairs in the pits. And of course, offer a huge round of applause for Emil Gerdrum, Alex Papadopoulos and Ivan Ekalczyk. Coming up next is the AM class podium. 2 drivers on the podium coming up next. And in second place in AM class for Resume More Than Racing is Richard Wolf. Congratulations. And your winner, just as yesterday for NM Racing, is Max Huber. Well done to Max, second victory of the weekend as Robin Seelbach and Georgie Chapman present the trophies to our two winning drivers in the AM class. First podium of the weekend for Richard Wolf, joined by Max Huber for the second time this weekend. Drivers climbing down for some more podium shots, so let's please have another big round of applause for Max Huber and Richard Wolf. Cayman Trophy podium is next, and as Adam Weller was just pointing out in commentary, we saw a late addition this morning to the Cayman Trophy entry list, so there is a third place on the podium today, and it goes to SRS Team Sorg Rennsport and Christian Kuhn. In second place for SR Motorsports, Tim Neuser. And your winner in Cayman Trophy in race number 2 for SR Motorsport as well is Enrico Förderer. Well done to Enrico. Of course, these two Caymans being present on the podium yesterday already. Michael Zander winning in the car that now finished second with Tim Neuser, and Willi Kuhne taking second spot in the now victorious car driven by Enrico Förderer, and now joined by Christian Kuhn and the SRS Team Sorg Rennsports squad in third place on the podium. Big round of applause once again. Christian Kuhn, Tim Neuser and Enrico Förderer. And there is one more podium to come. We just need an info if there is someone to come, as we are potentially missing Marcel Marschewitz, but I think there is a solution in place. So we can kick off our podium celebration. And in third place in Pro-Am class for Fossetti Motorsport, it's Mikey Porter. In second place for Elite Motorsports, Zach Meekin. And your winner, of course, is Marcel Marschewitz, but he doesn't make it in time. So let's welcome again from Schnitzlauern Racing, Tim Neuser. Tim kindly taking the trophies there for Marcel and his team, as Robin Sergio and Georgie Chapman from Pirelli are in action once again to present the trophies to our winning three drivers in Pro class. And of course, we are going to see all of them once again later on today, this afternoon, in race number 3, which is going to be the almost hour-long enduro competition in GT4 Winter Series. Very much looking forward. But for now, it's a big round of applause to the Pro Class top 3, Mikey Porter, Zach Meekin, and Tim Neuser for Marcel Marschewitz. Thank you very much. So that concludes our GT4 Winter Series podium. Coming up next is race number 2 this weekend. Cars already lined up downstairs on the grid. It's time for the GT Winter Series live from Motorland Arágon.
Yes, indeed. And as you can see, the grid is already pretty much cleared. So I think Izzy and Johnny might need to make way post-haste for this one, as we now see the cars ready to go for the GTWS race. There was a slight delay, of course, while the 11 car was recovered from the GT4 class. But we see there that the GTWS cars are ready to go for their second 30-minute sprint. So then, I believe we are briefly going to go down to Izzy's. Let's not waste time on that.
It's going to be a very brief grid walk because we've just had the 1-minute board. So we'll just leave you with a view of the cars. We've got J-Mo Hartling in the number 11. And we are going to have to go back up to Adam because the race is about to begin.
I saw you ready down there. I wasn't sure if we were going to throw to you, Izzy, but there we go. 15-second board about to be displayed as the marshals there giving her a hurry up. Want to get this one underway quickly, understandably, of course, because there's a lot of races to fit into the schedule today. The last thing we need is any further delay. So then, the all-Mercedes front row, as you can see, J-Mo Hartling, Moritz Wiskirchen. I think that is going to be a hell of a battle between two cars that are effectively sister machines. Yes, one is entered under SR Motorsport, the other is entered under Schnitzelbaum Racing, but these are effectively the same umbrella, and Wiskirchen just as decorated as J-Mo Hartling. Two very, very quick talents, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds in the GT Wind Series. Martin Kazmarski will be looking to play spoiler as well from row 2. And I note that we are missing quite a few cars from the grid. So Pierre Elliott's 115 car, now in the hands of Christian Hook, is there in 4th place. But as we can see in general, there's a few less than we were hoping for. I have seen some cars, though, head to the end of pit lane. J-Mo Hartling will start from pole position alongside Moritz Wiskirchen for this one. Then Martin Kazmarski is next on row 2. Dylan Pereira's 911. The 992 Cup car, Cup 2 leader, is not there. Christian Hook is there, but as is Hubert Darmetko. Joachim Bulting is also present, but Pablo Brass, Pedro Larino and Leo Willett are all missing. Let's hope that some of them, if not all of them, are down there at the pit exit. If we do have eyes on that in the next few moments, that would be good to see, because I know that I've seen Pablo Brass's car head down the pit lane late. It does seem as though some of our GT Wind Series teams were caught napping a little bit there. But they are going to be taking to the circuit in short order. Hopefully we'll have a few of them join from pit lane, because unfortunately not everyone wanted to brave Motorland Arágon this weekend, so we need all the cars really that we can get. J-Mo Hartling then will be our pole sitter up against Moritz Wiskirchen. If you're unfamiliar with Moritz Wiskirchen, he has raced in the N24 previously. He moved into car racing from karts in 2021 and has been in GT4 Germany and the NLS in recent times. 2 Silver Cup podiums in the 2022 GT4 European Series, and raced a GT3 last year in the GTC category out in Germany, the GTC Race Championship DMV GTC, and also at the GT Masters season finale last year as Schnitzelbaum Racing made its first appearance in the ADAC GT Masters. So then, J-Mo Hartling and Moritz Wiskirchen, your front row, 2 extremely talented young German peddlers set to take the start. Martin Kazmarski from the second row, also in a Mercedes AMG Evo. Of course, he is an AM driver, but a very talented one, and the same can be said as well for Christian Hook as well. So they could maybe play spoiler in the early going. And then, of course, you've got the Porsche Cup cars behind as well. We'll try and catch how many cars are on the pit exit as well as this race gets underway. But it is a drag race between J-Mo Hartling and Moritz Wiskirchen then, as the GT Winter Series race number 2 kicks into life. It is J-Mo Hartling that leads them. You've got 2 cars down there at pit exit, so Pablo Brass and I think Pedro Larino, Pedro Brass as he should be called, will rejoin the race from a little further back. Indeed, the 2 Villico cars do start a little bit tardy, a little bit late. But this is actually quite big for the championship, that Dylan Pereira's number 911 car isn't out there on the track. That makes me wonder if the damage we saw to Dylan Pereira's car yesterday in the hands of its regular pilot, Leandro Martins, was terminal, because we saw suspension damage on that car yesterday after he had contact with Hubert Darmetko. And the reason I'm focusing on this is because that car was second in the championship. Leandro Martins was making a bid for title glory here in the GT Wind Series within Cup 2. And if he doesn't score points in this race along with Dylan Pereira, then Jamo Hartling and Kenneth Heyer take a big step towards winning the GT Winter Series. They will not be able to do it this weekend mathematically, but if that Racar Motorsport car is out for the weekend, then that is a huge, huge story. Jamo Hartling and Moritz Viskirchen then at the head of the order, leading the way. And Viskirchen has lost a couple of seconds on that lap. Kazmarski is closer to him than Viskirchen is to our leader. So it's Jamo Hartling at the front of the pack. We've got a car off circuit. That's going to be one of the OTM, one of the Villico cars. It's the 951. It is Pablo Bras who has been caught out potentially by the tailwind. It doesn't look like the car has been damaged at all. Our top three come through shots for the first time. I suspect, though, that they will soon be interrupted by a safety car because of the car beached in the gravel, unless something can be sorted in short order. Through turn 2 and 3, now into 4, goes the battle for second place between Viskirchen and Kazmarski. There's Christian Hook in 4th place as Jamo continues on at the front of the order. Of course, he had a brilliant scrap back at Portimao with Finn Wiebelhaus, a battle that he won in what was Wiebelhaus's first ever GT3 race. Wiebelhaus finished second then and has won every subsequent race that he's entered in GT Winter Series, and I understand we'll see him back at Barcelona in a week's time. But for now, Jamo Hartling is building a gap over Viskirchen and Kazmarski. There is the 951 car, still just beached in the gravel at turn 11. I wonder if maybe it'll be judged that the car is far enough away from the racing surface to not be a liability from a safety perspective. That could be the case. We'll see whether that is what the protocol is, but for now we continue on, we continue racing. Pedro Bras came across the line a minute behind the leader, so Pedro was very slow to get underway, but he has now done so. There goes your top three, the 3 Mercedes-AMG GT3s, and now the safety car is out. So the safety car has been put out to rescue Pablo Bras, who on the very first lap of the race reversed it seemingly into turn 12 and into the gravel trap. There you see the 115 car, the Porsche 991.2 GT3R. We'll see, I understand, the Ferrari 296 back out for the first time since Portimao in the season finale at Barcelona. I also understand that potentially we're looking at bare minimum high 20s in terms of GT cars for next weekend in Barcelona, of course, provisionally. So very exciting that maybe we are going to have a deluxe grid, let's say, before the season is through. But for now, we have a field isolated by the safety car as Jamo Hartling will lose the 1.7 seconds he had gained over Moritz Viskirchen. And actually, the previous lap, Viskirchen was slightly quicker than Hartling. So I do actually think that despite a bit of a steady start, Viskirchen has the pace to challenge Jamo Hartling for the race win across this distance. In Cup 2, Hubert Darmetko is certainly, at least based on the result sheets, the strongest of our 3 drivers in Cup 2. I would not put it past Joachim Bolting, though, to give him a big challenge. And I wouldn't put it past the marshals to get the broomsticks out, looking at the state of turn 12. There's a lot of gravel down there. That rather suggests to me that that Pablo Bras may have gone over the grass and the gravel on the inside of 12 before ending up on the outside of the corner, because that's a lot of gravel to be down there. Right on board with Moritz Viskirchen, who of course is sharing the car with Schnitzlaum regular at the N24, David Thelinius. Does some pro driving, driver coaching, development work for various OEMs, major manufacturers over in the United States, and meanwhile Viskirchen is very much a racer's racer, a great youngster who's made very quick strides through the GT racing ranks in Europe and in Germany. We've heard Jamo Hartling referred to as a rocket man, as Kenneth Heyer put it, and I would say that if he's a rocket man, perhaps Viskirchen is the other rocket booster on the other side of the main vessel as this team takes off into the summer season. Two very young talents with a very big future ahead of them. Same can as well be said, of course, for the likes of Joel Mesch, Enrico Ferderet. There's a lot of driving talent within that Schnitzlaum SR Motorsport garage. Martin Kazmarski in third place, of course, as we've alluded to, making his first steps in GT3 racing here with us in GT Winter Series, and he's been pretty impressive in his performances so far, even if he's seemingly loath to admit it on the air. Taking a win, of course, earlier on up against Kenneth Heyer on Saturday evening. A feat that he also achieved in race number 2 of the weekend in Jerez, his first ever weekend at the helm of the GT3 car. Of course, that Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo is a car that's been quite heavily worked on by Kenneth Heyer, who has had a big role in developing GT3 cars and Mercedes-AMG customer racing cars in general. He was telling me in Valencia about the thousands of kilometers he's done of that track specifically in aid of development of the Mercedes AMG fleet of GTs, dating back to the development cycle of the SLS, the first Mercedes GT3 car, all the way back in 2010. So then the lights are out on the safety car, and the blend of Mercedes and Porsches will take off once again. We do have 7 cars out there on circuit, but only 6 in the queue, as Pedro Bras is away off the pack. Jamo Hartling stacks up the field behind him, looks for a good place to go, and he found one. A underway again then, as this race continues. 30-minute sprint race at 1/3 distance. We return to green flag racing, and it's Jamo Hartling from Moritz Viskirchen, from Martin Kazmarski, your top 3. Of course, Christian Hook there in the 4th of the GT3 spec cars, the Porsche 991.2 GT3. It's good to see the 991.2 still out there. Of course, it has been superseded now by the 992 GT3R. That is a slippery surface flag down at turn 12 because of the gravel that is on there from the Pablo Bras incident. So I have to be careful of that. It's not only tailwind now, but also a lot of shingle down at the apex of turn 12. So brace as they approach turn 12, just in case someone gets it wrong. There are a lot of obstacles at play down at the wall at the moment. You can see there the gravel clear as day on the apex of the corner. Here comes Jamo, he's first one through. A little bit of a twitch, and you see a puff as the gravel dissipates beneath his tyres. And one car did go wide. That was Joachim Bulting who went wide there. So Bulting had a little bit of a moment, but everybody through safely. Bulting, who'll be looking to challenge Hubert Darmetko, has lost some time there in the Cup 2 fight. Our 3 Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evos run down to turn 16 once again. Of course, despite the road car being powered by a 4-litre turbo engine, these cars are still powered by the original recipe big engine from Mercedes-AMG, the 6.2-litre V8, which has been present in these cars since the SLS debuted at the tail end of 2010. One of the best sounds in modern motorsport is that of the Mercedes-AMG GT3. A car that's been in service since 2016. I think it's on the verge of a refresh at this juncture. Maybe going into 2026, I think, is the plan. And there's concern that maybe we might have to wave the 6.2 goodbye at that point. Of course, we saw Jules Gounon rather magnificently in an unrestricted and DRS applied version of this car. Set a stonking lap, 1:56, I think it was, at the Bathurst 12-hour on a private session, an unofficial lap record that was then broken a week later by the Ford Supervan, of all things, in the hands of Romain Dumas. But there is a lot of potential in a GT3 car if you run restricted. It's got a shade over 500 brake horsepower in the spec we see on screen, but there's a lot more than that to be extracted from the engine if you take the air restrictors out. We have seen GT3 cars run sans air restriction in GT Winter Series in the past, and the difference in a straight line is stark. Martin Kazmarski then, again, seems to be closer to Moritz Wiskirchen than Wiskirchen is to Hartling. So Hartling doing his job nicely, just extending his advantage, building his cushion over over Moritz Wiskirchen. Hartling was a second clear last time by. The gap now is 1.8 seconds, whereas Martin Kazmarski, just 2.5 back from the lead, means he's just 7/10 away from Wiskirchen. Kazmarski could be in a scrap here this time around with Moritz Wiskirchen. He's previously had to fight Kenneth Hyatt, and now he'll go up against another professional in the form of Wiskirchen. Wiskirchen, I think it's fair to say, is in the infancy of his career, while I think the prognosis Kenneth Hyatt gave me was final 5th of his career. But two very good yardsticks for Kazmarski to go up against in the form of the two talented Germans from the Schnitzelbaum stable. And Kazmarski really putting a good account of himself out there into the world. Polish racer with a diverse background of off-road racing before converting to the world of GTs with the help of his team, PTT Racing. Of course, PTT have run a huge fleet of Porsches at times this year in the GT Winter Series. I know that one of them was actually sold. The car that we saw in the hands of Matthias Lizowski in the first 4 rounds of the season has actually been picked up and sold subsequently over the last 2 weeks. There's still a lot of Porsche Cup machinery in the PTT awning, and we're expecting to see the full quota of metal from PTT out in Barcelona, I believe. Deep into the corner goes Wiskirchen and Kazmarski. Even the GT3s are being adversely affected by the tailwinds into turn 16. If it was headwind, it wouldn't be a problem. If anything, you could probably be a bit later on the brakes. But when the wind is pushing you towards the corner, as it does, then it's rather a bigger problem. When I walked the circuit on Wednesday, along with our broadcast colleague Izzy, as well as the series photographer Danny, it was very blowy indeed. The circuit seems to have been built on what would actually be quite a good site for a wind farm. It's blowy conditions here all the time. Jamo Hartling lost some time on that last lap. His previous lap a 1:58.803, so he actually lost some 7/10 to Moritz Viskirchen. But more importantly, Martin Kazmarski set the fastest lap of the race last time. So Kazmarski, the first driver to dip below a 1:58. I tell you what, if Martin Kazmarski getting to grips with GT3s is already able to hold accountable the pace of someone like Jamo Hartling, this development curve could become seriously impressive as the weekends go on. You see there Viskirchen having to catch a slide there mid-corner and missing the apex, I think, a bit at 14 as well. Where is the white and yellow Mercedes in his mirrors? The answer is very close indeed. Now, I don't think Kazmarski is close enough, but maybe he'll have a go as they approach turn 16. Let's wait and see whether Kazmarski has it in him. He looks to the inside at 16 speculatively, and then he holds it just in case Viskirchen goes wide, and he does. But Kazmarski isn't quite able to get through on that occasion. Good racing then from Martin Kazmarski as he continues to pursue Viskirchen. He looks like the form man out there on circuit, albeit Jamo Hartling has just set a fastest lap of the race of 57.682 at the front. So the gap is out over 2 seconds for the first time in the race, whereas the battle for second is alive and kicking between Viskirchen and Kazmarski. We've heard Kazmarski be very self-critical in the interviews with Chris at Jerez, with Izzy here at Arágon. And, well, his critical nature is also matched by a very quick learning curve, seemingly, because he's a lot closer to Jamo here than he was a few weeks ago in Jerez in terms of pace. Struggled a little bit at Valencia, where of course we had a real smorgasbord of GT3 machinery driven by the likes of Finn Wiebelhaus and of course Nicky Thiem, double World Endurance Championship GTE champion. But that is the beauty of GT Winter Series. If you're a driver getting to grips with a GT car for the first time, the depth of talent sometimes on this grid is rather extraordinary. There is Christian Hook in 4th position. He's just ahead of Hubert Darmetko, who's another, I would say, GT Winter Series success story. He made his racing debut in the GT Winter Series at Estoril at the start of the season. Won a Racing Cup 2 that weekend, if I remember correctly. Indeed, he did. Won the second race of the weekend, came second overall, and won Cup 2 on his first ever weekend of racing, and has got closer and closer to people like Leandro Martins and even Leandro's driver coach, Dieter Swepes, over the course of the season. Darmetko, I'm sure he must have a lot of track mileage under his belt because of the speed in which he has gotten to grips with the car, but it's very impressive nonetheless. And whatever he's doing in the summer, I expect that the experiences he's had here in GT Winter Series are going to serve him well. Christian Hook is a driver with experience of the World Endurance Championship, of the Blancpain GT, as it used to be called, the GT World Challenge Europe. Has done just about every major GT race out there, albeit, of course, as a bronze driver. But the fact that Darmetko so soon is able to chase Christian Hook in a full-fat GT3 car, tells you all you need to know about the potential of Hubert Darmetko. You can see with these two cars the spec differences. It's not just that one is a 991 and one is a 992. The Porsche GT3 car much broader in the fenders, much more aerodynamically focused, versus the 992, which looks a lot more like a 992 GT3 road car, much more standard than the GT3, more suspension travel, less aero, but also in some instances a little bit more straight line speed. 992 GT3 Cup entering, I believe, its 4th year of competition. So then Viskirchen and Kazmarski still within a second of each other in the battle for P2 in this race. It is Viskirchen versus Kazmarski, Schnitzlaum versus PTT in that battle for P2, as Jamo Hartling takes a slightly exaggerated line through turn 5 of the lap. Martin Kazmarski does have to be a little bit careful, incidentally, about the millstone that is track limits. He's had 3 warnings thus far, and he could do without any further. Hopefully he remembered his sunglasses today, of course. He said he forgot them in race 2. Oh, sorry, in race 1. I doubt that in the current conditions, as we just gone past 12 o'clock, that he actually needs them, but he might need them for race 3 later on as the sun dips further down into the sky. Oh, Kazmarski very deep into turn 12. Manages to gather it up, but that might just be, in such an evenly matched battle, the cushion that Viskirchen needs. In fact, this will now be a good test for, oh, well, it would be. Kazmarski with another error there, I think trying to overcorrect, trying to get back to Viskirchen as quickly as possible there and making a subsequent error. But this is a good test now for Kazmarski to see whether he'd be quicker than Viskirchen in cleaner air. With 6 minutes and 25 seconds of the race left to go, though, I do wonder if Kazmarski has the time to close back in on Moritz Viskirchen. I think the clock might be against him from here on out, with a 3-second gap more or less between himself and second place car. It's also about 3.5 seconds between the leader and second place as well. Jamo Hartling has been on a roll in this race. In the Cup 2 scrap, Hubert Darmetko is some 7 seconds clear of Joachim Bulting. Bulting of the Plus Line Racing team, and is the team that also ran the likes of Demir Hott back in Portugal in GT Winter Series. Bulting, rather fascinatingly, chose his first ever race to be the Britcar 24 Hours back in 2015 in a Marcos Mantis of all things, powered by Chevrolet LS7. Yes, the engine out of the big Corvette. So if that's how you start, I suppose from there everything's a little bit more simple. Has done a lot of GT4 racing since then. Made his first appearance in a 992 Cup car with us in Estoril. Had a failure of the rear brakes in, I think it was race 2 at Estoril, that led him to spin twice, 3 times even. But on his appearances in GTWS, he has been strong. Bulting raced in GT4 Germany for a while, back in 21-22. Jamo Hartling, meanwhile, I believe his program for the summer will be in the GTC race category, the DMV GTC. The kind of third tier of German GT3 racing after DTM and ADAC GT Masters. Right on board then with Moritz Viskirchen as he goes through 4 and 5. More than likely trail braking into that corner. Fighting a bit with the wheel, coming out of 5 into 6. Kind of similar profiles to 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. You reach the highest point on the circuit here before dropping down through the corkscrew at 8 and 9. It is quite a mighty drop as well, as you can see there, even if the picture doesn't quite do it justice, through turn 10. There is technically a kink at turn 11, which is basically where the crest of this rise is. But I don't count it as a corner. It is one, though, officially speaking. Turn 12 into this kind of bus stop section through 12 and then 13. 13, the fastest of the corners in this section. The prototypes are more or less doing it flat out from what I saw trackside on Friday night. Turn 15, 90-degree corner, very important to get that right, because Kirscher did do it very well indeed there. Onto the straight that never ends, towards turn 16, towards the town of Alcanis. A town steeped in racing history itself. Deep onto the brakes there, pretty much nailed that, getting used potentially to the conditions then. Over the curb at 17. Turn 18 completes the lap for Viskirchen. To circle back around though to our race leader as he starts the penultimate lap. Hartling won a shootout back in October. An officially sanctioned shootout from the GTC race team. And that means he's going to have 2 free years of GT3 racing in the GTC race category. And for someone like JMO, who doesn't have reams of personal budget to his name, that could be a real lifeline for his fledgling career. There's Viskirchen, 4.6 seconds back from him. And Kazmarski, further 3.3 back from Viskirchen. I think that maybe, without that moment for Martin Kazmarski, he could have been challenging for second place by the end, but we saw him make those 2 errors in quick succession. There's Pedro Bras in the 952 car, the brother, of course, on the graphics as Pedro Larino, but he is Pedro Larino Bras, and his brother is, of course, Pablo Bras, who we saw only very briefly in this race after he ended up in the gravel. Pablo is, I think it's fair to say, the slightly quicker of the two, and is a Spanish GT champion from last year. We saw Pablo fighting with the likes of Hubert Darmetco in Portimao, and he'll be looking to do the same in race 3 here at Motorland Aragon, but race 2 did not go to plan, it's safe to say. We've got 30 seconds of the race left to run, so it will be the final lap this time by. Hubert Darmetco has still not lost touch with Christian Hook in 4th and 5th place respectively. Christian Hook, who has been associated with the Rinaldi team since 2016. A lot of history there between he and Rinaldi. Pierre Ehret is teammate. You see there the Ehret logos on the car, referring to the Ehret family vineyards in California. Well, Ehret is a German driver. The wine business is based out in the United States, where he spends quite a lot of time. As for Christian Hook, he has been racing now for 8 years. Joachim Bolting with the almost sarcastic corner cut at turn 1. Very amusing to see how much leeway some are using here. J-Mo Hartling through turn 15 for the final time. Puts the power down to go down the back straight once more. Of course, in the hour-long enduro, he'll do it all again along with Kenneth Hyatt. But for J-Mo, it is definitely all systems a go. Has once again shown his cards, shown his potential in this race. Has gotten away from Moritz Viskirchen quite handily. And as he comes around turn 18, it will be a race win for J-Mo Hartling. J-Mo Hartling secures yet another win in the GT Winter Series. That will be race win number 3 in a solo race for him this year. Moritz Viskirchen takes second and Martin Kazmarski takes third place. And of course, with this win, Hartling and Haya will further extend their championship lead over the non-starting Racar Motorsport machine of Pereira and Martins, and hopefully we'll see that car out in race number 3. But I do wonder if the suspension damage from yesterday is not fixable here at the circuit. We'll have to see. Christian Hook then will cross the line for 4th overall, ahead of Hubert Darmetko in P5. Darmetko wide at the last turn there, but he will take the Cup 2 win. And Joachim Bolting will be our last man across the line as Pedro Larino is a lap down. Joachim Bolting takes 6th overall and 2nd in the Cup 2 class. So it's another win for J-Mo Hartling for the team. For the team as a whole, it's race win number 5 of the season. But it's the 3rd solo win for J-Mo. He took wins in Portimao and Jerez on his own and has won a couple of races with the assist from Kenneth Haya as well. And they'll be looking to claim another enduro win in the race later on, the 55-minute endurance race. Pit window will open in that one with 25 minutes complete and close with 35 minutes complete. So when we're 30 minutes to go in the race, the window will open. Of course, we'll see some interesting dynamics as in some cases a quicker driver hops into the car for the second phase of the race. J-Mo Hartling giving a thumbs up and a wave there to our cameraman. He is happy with that effort. Back in Jerez, it was very, very warm indeed, touching 20 degrees. And I remember that by the end of the race, he did look, even though it was only the sprint, he did look pretty spent. I'll be interested to see with the lower ambient temperatures today quite how he's holding up after this one. It's certainly never a cool place to be a race car, because even if it's cold outside, that big engine out front certainly heats things up a bit. J-Mo Hartling will get out of the car to celebrate another win in the GT Win Series. Tim Neuser and the rest of the Slam crew down there to celebrate the win. Of course, this car entered under SR Motorsport. And it's handshakes and backpacks all round. Or backpats, I should say. And I don't know what Martin just said, but clearly it got a reaction there. In race number 3, I can't recall an issue for the 128 car that would be so bad that that it would no longer take part in the weekend. But I did also get reports from our videographer Emilio that the car was particularly flamethrower-ish, and also I think cut out a couple of times. So he was wondering if the engine was having issues, and maybe he was right. We'll hopefully see the 128 car back out there. But I do understand again that when we get to Barcelona, the GT Winter Series is going to be numerous in nature. Some very exciting cars being whispered about in my ears by some of our Giedlich Racing insiders over the last couple of days. Of course, as we've said, we are going to hear from our race winner, and I understand that Izzy Browning has caught up with J-Mo Hartling, so let's go down there now.
Hi everyone, yeah, I'm down with our race winner, J-Mo Hartling. J-Mo, that looked like a very nice drive. How was that?
And after the driver change, we look.
Congratulations, well done, go enjoy it.
Thank you.
There's our race 2 winner, J-Mo Hartling. We're going to head back up to Adam for all the replays of that race.
Thank you very much, Izzy. We'll just quickly run through the results. SR Motorsports, J-Mo Hartling, your race winner across the 15 laps. Moritz Viskirchen, 6.6 seconds back in second place. Kazmarski in P3. Christian Hook rounding out the GT3 order in 4th place. Hubert Darmetco in P5. Joachim Bolting in 6th position. And Pedro Larino, Pedro Brass, if you will, taking 7th position in that race. So then the drivers will now be herded up to the podium with Anna and the rest of the Giedlich Racing crew. Of course, the Giedlich Racing crew received some support on this weekend from the Race Ready organisation, who are behind the fabulous Iberian Supercars series here in the Iberian region. Ana Esteves, Sergio Fonseca, Diogo and the crew are all a big part of the nuts and bolts aspect of making these GT Winter Series races and Winter Series events happen. We do have an unfortunate update from Lukas Gajewski, who has used his journalistic prowess to glean an update from Racar Motorsports. Unfortunately, damage to the 911 car is not fixable here. So Leandro Martins, with his error in contact with Hubert Darmetco yesterday, damaged the car beyond repair for this weekend. So that means that he and Dylan Pereira are out of the racing for this weekend, and it also means that Hartling and Hire will score points where they will not. Further to that, the damage is a question mark as to whether it can be fixed going into the season finale weekend in Barcelona as well. So that is going to be a big twist in the tail of the 2024 GT Winter Series, and is going to bring Hubert Darmetco up into second in the points. In fact, he already will have taken second in the points with his result here in this race. But for Hartling and Hire, it means that things are only getting better for their championship prospects here at Motorland Aragon going into Barcelona. Of course, we know that Haupt Racing Team are bringing Juan de Mocoena and Finn Wiebelhaus back to Barcelona, so they're going to have a lot more competition to contend with within the races in the GT3 class, and they may not have to worry quite so much about the points deficit, because our current championship leader's closest competition will not take any further part in this weekend here at Motorland Aragon. That is a big twist in the tail, and another unfortunate chapter in the season for Leandro Martins, who you may recall had a big smash in race 2 back at Estoril, a smash so severe that the original car had to be consigned to the scrap heap, and the chassis that they race now, it was purchased from the Kapfinger family. Last year's GT Winter Series winning chassis, as a matter of fact. It will not repeat that feat, potentially, with Leandro Martins, or at least if it does, it's going to be from much further back in the points than we would have anticipated. The rumble of LMP3 cars is starting to shake my commentary box. That's because our next race is the Prototype Winter Series. And you see there the mountains in the distance here in northeastern Spain. Real gorgeous region. surrounding Motorland Arágon. One of my favourite circuits that I've visited so far. Not quite the arduous walk that Spa-Francorchamps proved to be, but it's not far behind from a track walk perspective, and it's certainly a layout that I think is really quite spectacular. I've said it a couple of times throughout the weekend. I think it's a track that's rather underutilised on the four-wheeled side of things. We've seen that a few entries dropped for this weekend, which is a shame. I wish they weren't so scared of this track. It's such a wonderful place to be, and no doubt if it returns to the calendar next year, we'll see some more cars take to this venue, because why wouldn't you? Look at this, the corkscrew section here, a little bit of a Laguna Seca homage, and you do see traces of all of the finest racing circuits in the world in this layout. There is one update to quickly mention, and that is the Eco Segre in ANS Motorsport Ligier JSP4 in the prototypes will no longer be in that car. So Eco is going to be in another Nova NP02, as the Ligier, of course, retired yesterday with a mechanical issue. Meanwhile, we can head up to Lukas Gajewski to switch focus back to the GT Wind Series and their podiums.
Thank you very much, Adam Weller. Here we go with the second podium of the weekend for the GT Winter Series, brought to you from Motorland Arágon. And of course, we start our podium procedures with the ceremony for the GT3 class. And in third place, it's yesterday's winner for PTT Racing, Martin Kaczmarski. Well done to Martin. In second place, for Schnitzelarm Racing, Moritz Wiskirchen. And your winner in race number 2 for SR Motorsports is Jamo Hertling. Well done to Jamo, just as well as we welcome our Gedlich Racing GT Winter Series organization, Jan Jürge, Stefan Lehner and Sergio Fonseca, presenting the trophy to our top 3 finishers. Yesterday's winner, Martin. Then, of course, we've got Moritz in second place, with David Thelanius, his teammate, being on the podium yesterday in third. And, of course, Jamo's teammate, Kenneth Heyer, scoring second place yesterday with some very important points for the championship, especially with the unfortunate news of Raka Motorsport. As we gather our top 3 finishers for a couple of more pictures. Big round of applause for Martin Kaczmarski in third, Moritz Wiskirchen in second, and your winner, Jamo Hertling. One more class podium coming up in GT Winter Series, and that's for the Porsche 911 Cup machinery in Class Cup 2. And in third place, for the first time on the podium, for Vineco Motorsport is Pedro Lourinho. In second place, for Plusline Racing Team, Joachim Belting. Second podium of the weekend for yesterday's winner. And on the top spot today for PTT Racing is Hubert Dametko. Well done to Hubert, scoring third place yesterday. And today it's another victory for Hubert Dametko, as Jan Jürge, Stefan Lehner and Sergio Fonseca are presenting the trophies once again to our 3 Cup 2 drivers on today's Race 2 podium. And of course, we are very happy to see them later on in the endurance competition and the third race of the weekend, just as well as some more pictures and photos are being collected. One more huge round of applause, please. Your Cup 2 podium, Pedro Lourinho, Joachim Belting and Hubert Dametko. And it's a busy, busy schedule today in Motorland Arágon, as Adam Weller has just been mentioning. The prototypes are lining up on the grid just as well, and it's their last one of the week. And they've been racing in the night yesterday. Now it's their daylight race number 2 coming up. So let's head down to the Prototype Winter Series grid.
As you say, Lucas, the Prototype Winter Series is up next with their second 50-minute race. The cars are pulling up down there on the grid at the moment. Werner Eichinger is down there talking to the drivers. And I understand that Izzy Browning is also down there with the drivers. Let's go down to her.
I am down here. I thought it was going to be less windy, but it's just got more windy as we've just come down. So our pole sitter has just pulled in. As Lucas said, this is the last race of the weekend for the Prototype Winter Series. 50 minutes plus 1 lap endurance race, our first endurance race of the weekend. So we're going to see some pit stops, and my gosh, it is getting very, very windy. So on our first position, we've got the number 66 of Daniel Kravitz. He'll be starting in the car. They've had a best finish of 3rd so far this season, so we're going to see if we can jump in. Thank you very much. How are we feeling? We're starting in a pretty good position for this race, aren't we?
Yeah, it's always good to be in pole position for sure.
1 second, please. 1 second, please.
All right, we're just going to let the race director jump in there instead. They've got to tell the drivers just before we start. So we've also got the number 3 of Lawrence Herr. He's had a best finish of 2nd for this race, for the Prototype Winter Series so far. They've got that all-black car, and as Lucas did mention, or Adam did mention in commentary, we have got a change of car. So yesterday the JSP4 was the only entry for the Class 4, and now we have changed that car as Eco Segre is going to be in the Nova instead. We're going to take you on a bit of a further walk down the grid. We've got the number 7. Glenn Van Berlo is going to be in that car first today. Obviously, they were the race winners yesterday. And then he will hand over to Danny Sufi. Glenn, we've got a race in the light today. So how's this one going to be for you?
Well, conditions are slightly different than yesterday. A lot of wind today. So let's see how that turns out with regards to, yeah, we have a lot of headwind on the straight, but tailwind on the back straight. So let's see how the balance feels in these conditions, starting from 3rd. So still in for a good race. So looking forward to it.
And we saw you guys yesterday had the sign for Franz. Obviously, he's not with us this weekend, a little under the weather. So going to be hoping to make it 2 for 2 for Franz, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure Franz is watching now. So I would say enjoy it from the bad friends. We're going to make it a good race.
Best of luck. Thank you for speaking to us. Right, we're going to carry on down the grid. On the right here, we've got the number 71, one of the only Novas on the grid. We've now obviously got that 2nd Nova on the grid with Eco Segre switching the cars. That's the number 71 of Kevin Rabin. And then if we just come over, just finally, we're going to highlight this number 80 car. This is possibly my favourite livery that I've seen all day. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful, Johnny. If you just get in there, we've got a little bit of a pop art livery there. So that, to me, is the perfect place for us to end this grid walk. Enjoy this race. We're going to go back to Adam.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a little bit of pop art, a little bit of spatter art on that livery. Very, very cool car from Gebhardt Motorsport, the number 80 machine of Valentino Catalano. Lining up, got there eventually, on row 3 of the grid. That first row, though, that's a real assassin's row, that is. Daniel Kravitz and Lawrence Herr, 2 gold-rated drivers, 2 very quick drivers indeed. And Glenn Van Berlo there as well, with Kevin Rabin on the 2nd row as well. I think there's going to be some very rapid stuff in the early going of this Prototype Winter Series race. A reminder, this race is held over 50 minutes plus 1 lap. And there is a pit stop window from minute 20 to minute 30 of the race. And there are no subclasses here. There is no Pro, Pro-Am, Am. What there is instead is a pit stop handicap system. So that will be something we'll talk you through in just a minute, because for now, we'll go to the grid. Daniel Kravitz is our pole sitter for this race, the Rinaldi Racing number 66 car, alongside Lawrence Herr of DKR Engineering. Glenn Van Berlo is 3rd on the grid in the Ligier from Conrad Motorsport, and Kevin Rabin is in the ANS Motorsport Nova NP02. Valentino Catalano starts 5th on the grid in the number 80 car alongside Clement Moreno in the ANS Motorsport car. Will Stowell will start from 7th on the grid for Molnar Motorsport in their Duqueine. And the ANS Motorsport car number 6 of Eco Segre is now a Nova MP02 as well. And I'm actually interested to see how Eco's pace fares in that Nova, because he looked quite handy in the JSP4, albeit it is a much slower car on paper than the LMP3s he was fighting. So let's see how he does in the rather stronger Nova NP02. Pit stop handicaps then. It's 148 seconds worth of pit stop for Eco Segre, for Soufiane van Berlo, for Juan Pablo Veja and Will Stowell, for Maxime Dirks and Valentino Catalano, and for Kevin Rabin. So 5 cars to have 148 seconds, 2 minutes and 28 seconds in the pits. That's because they've got silver, or well, all silver lineups in some fashion. For John Brownson and Lawrence Herr in the DKR Engineering car, it's 119 seconds worth of pit stops. For Steve Parrow and Daniel Karlvitz, it's also 119 seconds worth of pit stops. And for Clement Moreno and Julien Lemoyne as the only all-bronze layout on the grid, or all-bronze lineup on the grid, they have an 86-second delta from pit in to pit out. So pit handicaps will have a significant effect on this motor race. 2 formation laps, as has been the protocol for the prototype Winter Series. Then Daniel Karlvitz will continue to try and get some heat into those tyres. Lawrence Herr, Glenn Van Berlo behind also getting the heat cycles in. Of course, the 2 dominant manufacturers in LMP3 represented, Ligier and Duqueine. There are a total of 4 tenders out in the world for LMP3 chassis, the other 2 being Ginetta and Ades. And the next cycle of LMP3 regulations, I understand, kicks into force next year. And that will see quite a significant change. And that will also, of course, see Ades and Ginetta trying to get themselves onto the market once again. Both cars are a little way out of favour with the teams by and large. There were both Gebhardt and Conrad were Ginetta teams, as a matter of fact, but have recently moved on to Ligier and Duqueine respectively. Daniel Karlvitz, of course, for Rinaldi Racing in one of the Ligier JSP 320s. The Ligier was the second LMP3 car to appear in the world after the Ginetta was the initial LMP3 car in the debut season of the category in 2015. Norma, now Duqueine, followed that. The Duqueine D08 is, I think, largely the car of the second generation in LMP3, but there's not much in it between the Ligier and the Duqueines. They have different strengths and weaknesses. I understand that in the Duqueine, the quickest way is to have the traction control on, quite a low setting, but on, and most of the Ligier drivers do not use traction control, so there's a bit of a difference on that front. The Duqueine's slightly less sure-footed without the traction control than the Ligier. The electronics on these cars is all standard, so they all are off-the-shelf parts. You see there Eco Segre trying to build some temp in the back of the grid, the second of the Nova NP02s. It's going to be very interesting to see how Eco performs in that car. I think he might be quite handy, actually. Kevin Rabin might have his work cut out in the Nova class. He's been uncontested all season in the Novas, but he's now got a bit of competition to deal with in the form of the third ANS Motorsport entry. So this time, the cars will go into 2x2 formation, and we are going to have a very exciting fight here between Rinaldi Racing's Daniel Kalvitz and DKR Engineering's Lawrence Hur. Those two are gold-rated drivers, very, very fast drivers indeed. And the same goes for Glenn Van Berlo from Road 2. Kevin Rabin as well on Road 2 could well challenge. The red lights are on and the lights are off. We go racing, and it's a very good start actually from Glenn Van Berlo, I should say, Danny Sufi's teammate, but he still sits in third place. Kevin Rabin falls behind Clement Moreno as the DKR Engineering car gets the lead. Lawrence Hur is your leader then, ahead of the two